Starts to get a little bit more like an amber, orangey, brown color.
Are you in our group?
And then after another 8 hours, I would move it to my very last pet.
Kind of close together. We're going to try to get a lot of people in there.
We still have some room on this bench. So is everybody on it? But they're spiles. These go into the tree, and then it drips down the tube into a bigger main tube, and then into an even bigger one, and then it eventually goes into this big giant vat of syrup. So we have a lot of sap, and luckily with this machine we're able to make a lot of syrup. So the way it works is that the fire's right underneath, if we can see this, and see this picture up here, that kind of shows that the sap goes in and then it kind of travels through, and then once it's done, it ends up into the finishing pan. And I know that it's done because I have a little, almost like a thermometer right over here. And when it tells me that the maple syrup is 66.5% sugar, I know that my maple syrup is ready. So if we take a look at what's inside my evaporator, right here, I have lots of liquid, but it's not really sap. It's not really maple syrup yet, is it? It's basically just hot sap. As it cooks, it'll eventually get moved into here, where here we have our maple syrup. Yes. So this is where the maple syrup ends up to finish. And then once it's done, and that's to let out all of the evaporation, so that this place doesn't become a big giant sauna, because that wouldn't be very fun or good for the wood in here. So that's how all the steam gets out. And then what else? You've also probably noticed that sometimes when you buy your maple syrup, it's not always the same color. Has anyone noticed that? And all of it is maple syrup. It's all the same. It all has the same exact amount of sugar in it. It's just depending on when the sap was harvested, the sugar, or the maple syrup, once it's cooked, is a different color. So when it first comes out, it's clear, just like water, right? When it comes out of the tree. So the first trees that are tapped, when it becomes maple syrup, when the sap becomes maple syrup, it's like really, really, really light. Sometimes it just looks like this. And this stuff is really rare because not a lot of sap ends up becoming this. And that's because there's a little bit more sugar naturally inside. So it takes a little bit of a shorter time to become maple syrup. Now, as it goes on, then it gets a little bit darker. And even darker with our golden. And then most of the maple syrup that you find at the grocery store, especially near the end of maple syrup season, is dark. And that's why it's different colors. But it's all same stuff. It just kind of has a different taste. So sometimes your maple syrup they're all the same sugariness, but sometimes the flavor is a little bit bolder, a little bit stronger, right? So, we also have a funny story of these doors here. One year, someone forgot to close them. At the end of their shift, they closed every single other door except for this one right here. And we had a family of raccoons get in. Yeah, they came through there because they're really, really smart. They came through here, they climbed down the halls, and then they have hands like we do. So they figured out that, if I open this, maple syrup is going to come out. Yeah, so we came in the next morning, and there was a whole bunch of maple syrup everywhere. And then also, exactly where you're sitting, the benches were covered in little tiny sticky footprints. So the kindergartners we had the next morning, we had to unstick them. So now we... It's really where we really like the light stuff.
So again, there's just a few. Okay, right here.